Hi friends, happy Friday and welcome to this lesson 14, where we're going to learn how to find missing sides when we're given the volume of a shape. So before we begin, let's review our formulas for volume. There are two. Our first one is volume equals base times height. Our second is volume equals length times width times height. These are the formulas you absolutely need to know, keep them with you. You need to write them down every time you solve the problem, any problem. So you can always find out if you have a base problem or if you're a length, width, and height problem when you go to solve it. So let's see the problem solving task today. It says Jose put 1,050 cubic inches of dirt into the tank shown below. How high was the dirt in the tank? So this is tricky because you might think, oh, I want you to do length times width times height. We have the height of the tank. But the problem is this question is a little tricky. We don't actually know the height because the tank is not all the way full. We know how much dirt there is, we know how big the tank is, but we don't know how high it goes in the tank. So that's what we need to figure out. So 21 is not the height of the dirt, but we do know the length and the width. If I read the question really carefully, it says Jose put 1,050 cubic inches of dirt in the tank below. If I see cubic inches, that means volume. Any cubic unit is a volume unit. So I'm going to kind of highlight that as important. That's volume. I would write a note if I was doing this by hand. I would say volume. How high was the dirt in the tank? That tells me what the question is asking is how high? What is the height? So that's what I'm trying to find out. So that's my question that's being asked. So my first step is always going to be write the formula out first. The formula I want to use in this way is I don't have a base given. I'm just going to use the formula is volume equals length times width times height. I'm just going to use abbreviations for this to make it easier. I could even say V if I wanted to. Now my second step is going to go look through the problem, see what I have, and start filling it in. I have the volume, which is unusual based on the questions we've done. The volume is 1,050. I'm not going to put units on it. The length of the tank is 30. The width is 7, but I don't know the height. That is what I'm trying to find, times h. So I'm going to write an h in there instead of height, of the height, because I can't put it in. And the next step I need to do is to try basically, there's parts of this problem I can do to start. And I can do the multiplication here, 30 times 7, because those are two numbers. I can multiply them together. It would even work if it was written like this. It would still work if it said 30 times h times 7. That also works just fine. It doesn't matter what order the numbers are written in because multiplication is commutative. We learned that a long time ago. What it means is you can multiply in any order. You can do 5 times 7, 7 times 5. It doesn't matter. So I can just say, if you see them written in a different order, you can just move the h around and bring it to the end. Unless you bring the multiplication symbol with it, of course. That's a fine thing to do. So, sorry, side note. That was just a quick side note. So I'm going to rewrite the problem. 1,050 equals, so what's 30 times 7? 3 times 7 is 21, but it's 10 times bigger because 30 is 10 times bigger. 210 times h. I can't multiply 210 times h because I don't know what h is. So this is where my ideas of fact families come into helpful. And this is a quick parenthesis to show what's happening. A fact family is a multiplication problem that can be related to division. If I had a problem like this, 4 times question mark equals 20. I'll say 28 equals 28. What is question mark? Well, I can just do it in my head. 4 times 7 is 28. Or say that's the same as doing 28 divided by 4 equals 7. I can't do the division symbol quickly, but that works because division is the opposite of multiplication. So we can use, this is not part of our solving the problem, this is me proving that this works, but we can use that exact strategy and skill right here. If 210 times h equals 1,050, that means that 1,050 divided by 210 equals h. We call this using the opposite operation, or inverse, some people would say. And that works because of the fact family relationship with those numbers. So I can do that on the side with my standard algorithm for division, 1050 divided by 210. I'm going to do a quick guess and check. You could even use repeated addition and see what works. But it seems to me to be about 5. So 1050 divided by 210 is probably 5. I can just check it by doing 210 times 5. 200 times 5 is 1000. 10 times 5 is 50. 1050 it is. So 1050 divided by 210 equals 5. So h, the height, equals 5. And this problem is measured in inches. Inches. Not cubic inches, it's just a length of a height. So the height of the dirt in the tank. That's it, that's the problem. Today, in this problem solving packet, you're going to see questions that ask you to do this. There are a couple, there's one question with a typo that actually gives you all the sides. That's a mistake. I apologize for that. But you basically need to do the same thing for all these problems, where you're given the volume, but you need to find a missing side. In real life, you need to be able to do that. You also need to be able to solve when you know what the sides are, but you don't know the volume. It all works out together. So let's write out the steps I use to solve this problem. I'm going to make my font a little bigger so you can see it. And here are my steps. Make it even bigger in case you're on your phone and you need to see it. Steps. 1. Read the question to figure out what formula to use. Which formula you need. And that could be, you need base times height or length times width times height. Or is it not even a volume problem? Maybe it's an area problem. So read it carefully. Write out the formula with no numbers. That what I mean is write, so example, write V equals L times W times H. That's my example. 3. Find the measurements you know and fill and rewrite the equation. So for example, maybe I know the volume is actually 40, and then I can say the length is 5, the width is 2, but I don't know what the, or so that we'll say that I don't know what the width is. The width I don't know, but the height is 2. So that's my example. And then 4, you're going to solve the multiplication first. In this case, I would do 5 times 2 first. So 40 equals 5 times 2, which is actually 10. 10 times W. Even though the 5 times 2 aren't next to each other, since it's all multiplication, I can do it in any order. So 10 times W. And now, the step 5, you're going to use the opposite operation. In this case, it's going to be division in today's lesson to find the missing value. So it'd be 40 divided by 10 equals W. And then I know that W equals 4, because 40 divided by 10 is 4. I don't know a unit for that, but that's the general idea of the steps. There you have it, folks. Today's lesson is a little tricky. Sorry this video went a little long. Hopefully the steps are helpful for you when you're trying to solve these problems and you get through today's problem solving task. Threw in some stuff with decimals to keep things interesting. Make sure you guys are using all your old skills. So good luck. Hope you guys have a great weekend if I don't see you until next week. And hope you're all doing well. Embrace the struggle today.